Guys, there's a sad state of affairs in our school systems, okay? It's just sad, man. Because all the wokeness, ultimately, at the end of the day, guys, is going to dumb down our students. It's going to dumb down America, right? I mean, kids are already dumb enough, right? Whether they have a college degree or not, doesn't matter. You're still equally dumb because you don't really learn anything. And most important, you don't really learn any life skills. But now, I mean, they're getting to the point where, they're not even teaching kids that there are consequences to basic things like tardiness and turning in homework assignments late, right? They're not teaching kids anything about life whatsoever, right? Making kids completely unprepared for the real world. And I think this middle school right here that is eliminating F's to combat so-called systemic racism is doing just that, not preparing kids for the real world. And this is just going to be a disaster. And honestly, I expect a lot more of this. I expect a whole lot more of this. This is why school choice and private schooling / homeschooling is so important. It's so important because these public schools are just going to garbage, right? They're just garbage. Okay. That's what's happening. So let's read here about this woke school. A YouTube video posted by Sunrise Park Middle School in Bear Lake, Minnesota, details a new grading scale that lacks the letter F. All right. Let's actually watch the video here to get a peek at this meeting and the things they're saying.
Hi, everybody. Christina Pierre, principal at Sunrise.
Hello, everybody. Norman Bell, associate principal here at Sunrise.
We're going to share information today with you about grades. So our whole intent is to ensure that grades focus on the process of learning. This is what we want our middle school students to learn and understand. We want them to become good learners.
Grades show what the student knows in relation to the learning targets.
So we're only going to include in grades exactly what the student knows based on what we want them to learn. Therefore, grades will not include behaviors, attitude, tardiness to class, whether the assignment was turned on late or on time. There's other ways that we can communicate those things to parents, and so they're not going to be included in grades. We recognize that this is really increasing the rigor of grades. We're insisting that students make sure that they learn the material.
Students are encouraged to retake, revise quizzes, papers, projects. We really want to encourage our students to take part of the retakes. We really want to push that piece. It's really important that students do take advantage of those retakes.
Yeah, and we realize that and not every kid gets it the first time. Some students need more time to learn something than others.
Here's our grading scale. Remember, each grading scale is a 10%, or each grading scale has a 10% of grading points.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing that you probably notice is that we're not using anything under 50%. And so I'll explain a little bit more on the next slide.
All right. So she basically goes on in this video to explain that they're not using 0 to 49.9% percentiles for students, right? So first of all, they took F out of it. So if you get below a 60, then you don't get an F, you get an I for incomplete, but you can't get a 0, right? You can't get a 0. So if you don't turn in an assignment, or if you just flat out bomb a test, you can't get less than 50, right? Which means that essentially when you go in to average grades, what happens is that the students' grades are going to be artificially inflated because they can't have zeros, right? That's what's happening here. That's what's happening. So let's read a little bit more here. Our whole intent is to ensure that grades focus on the process of learning, Principal Christina Pierre said in the video. Therefore, grades will not include behaviors, attitudes, tardiness to class, whether the assignment was turned in late or on time. There are other ways to communicate those things to parents. Associate Principal Norman Bell went on to elaborate that students are encouraged to retake and revise tests, quizzes, papers, projects, and have a 10-day window to do so from the date the grade is posted. Sunrise Middle School Park serves students in grades 6 through 8 in the White Bear Lake area schools, ISD 6 to 4. It is located in the suburb of St. Paul. Fox News reached out to district to see if the grading scale would be implemented at middle schools district-wide, which includes one additional campus, but has yet to hear back. The district's superintendent, Wayne Kazimizak, was named Minnesota Association of School Administrators 2021 Superintendent of the Year. The school website discussing the award details how the district conducted an equity audit which showed grading disparities among students of color. Quote, grading can be one of the largest areas in which systemic racism and inequities are perpetuated. Dr. Casimir Zak and WBLAS believes grades should be a measure of what student knows and has mastered in a given course. Grading should not be a behavior punishment. It should not be a measure of how well a student can survive stress at home, the website reads. Okay, so here's the problem with this. The problem is that while I agree that students probably shouldn't have grade penalties for stuff like, you know, behavior and tardiness and stuff like that, things that don't necessarily have direct effect on their assignments, okay, even though I would argue it has an indirect effect on everybody else, and students should definitely be punished for that type of stuff, okay? But, you know, when it comes to grades and just measuring academic performance, yeah, I think that when you are allowing unlimited retakes, okay, when you're allowing people just to turn in stuff late and you're not deducting or punishing students for that, you're not giving people Fs, you're not giving people zeros, you're saying that the lowest grade they can get, even if they do nothing, is a 50, right? What you're doing is that you're essentially participating in participation trophy culture, where everybody wins regardless of their performance. You are essentially not encouraging kids to compete. You are inflating their grades just to say that, oh, well, students of color have better grades now, right? And they're not necessarily learning anything more. Because again, I mean, listen, if I could just retake, what's the point of studying, right? What's the point of studying? What's the point of turning any homework in on time? What's the point of doing any of that? At the end of the day, man, it's already bad enough, like I said, that school doesn't teach you any real life skills. It gets even worse when they teach you that life has no punishments. For example, if you pay your credit card bill late, then you're going to get charged for it, right? You're going to get charged for it. If you pay any bill late, you're going to be charged for it. It's going to affect your credit score, right? You don't get to just do it late. If you get a job and you make a mistake, you will get fired, right? You'll get fired if you make certain mistakes. You don't just get a mulligan, right? This is why the whole zero thing kills me. Because zero means that you just didn't do anything at all. You didn't show up. You didn't even turn in the paper, right? That's what it means. It means you didn't turn in paper. Most of the time, you get some credit for just putting your name on the paper. So when you go to a job and you don't show up, you know what a zero is at the job? It's getting fired. Or even worse. Matter of fact, I mean, I just today found out that a friend of mine who got fired from a job that I helped him get, right, got fired, applied for a different job, okay, in the same industry, and come to find out, the last job he was at basically told a new job why he got terminated, and the new job ended up rescinding the offer from my friend. He's essentially now been blackballed from the industry. Well, why is that? Because he made a mistake. He wasn't doing his job, right? He did things on his last job that were serious offenses that got him fired. And that's what happens in the real world. But when you're telling students that they can't get a zero if they don't even show up, what you're doing essentially is telling them there's no consequences for not showing up, for not doing anything. There's no consequences. And that, in my opinion, is going to create students that are failing in life. Look at what's going on right now with the current woke revolutionaries. Young 20-somethings that are complaining about everything, right? That are so soft. They're already soft enough. Now you're going to make them even more softer with this type of stuff. It's crazy, man. It's crazy what's happening in these schools. You know, and this is why, like I said at the beginning, school choice, private schooling, homeschooling, bruh, it's the wave. It's the wave. It's the wave. Because these public schools have gone off the deep end. It's crazy. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.